Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, dreamers. Welcome back to Ren Draws Disney. My name is Ren, and for today's Walt Wednesday, we're going to be shrinking down to the size of a toy to discover the opening of Toy Story Land in Walt Disney World, Florida. In this video, I'll be drawing something based off of the Toy Story franchise, and we'll just be talking about Toy Story along the way. So go ahead, buckle up, put on your ears, and let's make some magic. So I'm not going to do an introduction like I usually do, but today we're just going to jump into the art. So Toy Story Land is part of Walt Disney's Hollywood Studios, and it opened to a very, very excited public on June 30th, 2018, which is nuts. I can't believe it's already been 3 years now. Now, I personally have been to Toy Story Land, and I think the theming is absolutely incredible when you go there. Like, you walk in and you really do feel minuscule compared to the scale of that place. It's really beautiful, and the colors are so nice too. But what kind of bums me out is like, every time we go, we're so busy with our travel and Disney schedule, because we usually try and go for at least 5 days because we're from out of town, and usually we want to try and hit up every park, and my family really likes Animal Kingdom the most, so we try and do at least 2 days at Animal Kingdom. So when we're in Hollywood Studios, we're really not there very long. We usually go to Hollywood Studios on the first day, which means that we have to crunch in so much in a very small amount of time. Which also means when we go to Toy Story Land, I've never really been able to explore Toy Story Land. Like, literally the only thing I've done there is ride Toy Story Midway Mania. And don't get me wrong, I love it. Do y'all know that ride? First of all, like, the queue for the ride is super incredible and detailed. But basically you get into a two-sided cart. So like one parent gets on one side of the cart and another parent gets put on the back side of the cart. And you get to wear these really cute 3D glasses. I'll kind of show a video of me and my siblings here wearing them. But you get to play a series of really fun shoot 'em up style games where you have to like pop balloons or break some plates, and the goal is to get the most points. So it's a competitive style game. What's cool about that ride too is the experience is 4D. So like they sometimes have air blow on your face or maybe a smell or something as well. But if you haven't tried it, definitely do so if you're in Toy Story Land. But other than Midway Mania, sorry to go on a tangent about Midway Mania, I've still never ridden Slinky Dog Dash. I've never been on the Alien Swirling Saucers. I've never tried food from, I think it's called Woody's Lunchbox now. So I'm still, I guess kind of, I don't really want to say inexperienced, but haven't experienced as much of Toy Story Land as I really want to. So basically when I was sketching out this drawing, I really wanted to convey on a very, very small scale the idea of the general layout of the Toy Story Land theme park. You're shrunken down to the size of a toy playing in Andy's backyard, and there are a bunch of building blocks and pencils and Christmas lights and characters, and nearly all of them are on the top of these really big, I don't want to say monuments, what's the word I'm looking for? Essentially like the big buildings, so you feel a lot smaller. You're looking up at a lot of the characters. And again, the scale of the characters is massive too. Initially, I had the sketch only of Woody for a while on a piece of paper, but it felt too easy to only do Woody. So as you can see digitally, I sketched in Jessie and Ham behind him, as well as the building blocks that you see in the park itself. Now for me, Jessie is one of my favorite Pixar characters in general. I've always been infatuated with the Old West, and she is kind of like the iconic, tough cowgirl that you would imagine in a lot of the old school movies and books. But this is actually my first time ever drawing her, and you can see right now her sketch was really, really rough. It didn't really look like her, so as I'm adding in all these little details, you can see I shift her eyes around, I move her facial features, I make her mouth a little bit bigger so that it looks like she's yodeling and making a sound instead of just having her mouth very slightly opened. I want to ask, who is your favorite Toy Story character? I'm always curious because right now my nephew is currently obsessed with Toy Story and he loves Buzz Lightyear. But anyway, you can see I'm right now also kind of going in and adding some details on the face. I've got the general colors blocked in, so I'm going into each character and starting to add in the brows, the blush, the mouths, all the little smaller line art type details. The Toy Story movies, I remember when they came out, they were kind of revolutionary. Like, it's so wild to see how far 3D animation has come. I was, not to age myself, but I was very, very young when the first Toy Story came out, and it was mind-blowing. Like, it shook my entire world. At the time, like, the lighting and texturing, everything in the movie looked, through the eyes of a child, looked so real. And, granted, looking back now, it's like every human figure in the first Toy Story movie is terrifying looking. Like, Sid is genuinely terrifying, not because of his, actual character and personality, but like the inside of his mouth has no color. His eyes are very like dead and open, and his skin is kind of lumpy. So, do y'all agree? Like, if you go back and watch the first Toy Story, is it just me or do the people look a little wonky? But out of all 4 Toy Story movies, I think number 2 is my favorite. I loved number 2. Growing up, I loved it. I still love it now. I like that they introduced Old Western characters. I've always been infatuated, again, with Old West in general. And Stinky Pete was such a good villain. I didn't see that coming as a kid when they revealed him. So now the real question is, are you Camp Buzz or Camp Woody? Again, obviously I've mentioned a few times already, but love me the aesthetic of the Old West. So I've always been more of a Woody fan, but I do absolutely love the way Tim Allen voice acted Buzz Lightyear. He did an excellent job. As you can see right now, again, I'm just kind of going in and adding in line art details, cleaning things up a little bit so that the lines are not as, choppy and you can see underneath them, trying to make it as smooth as possible. And getting in the tiny details of the belt buckle, trying to do some drop shadow on the buckle as well so it looks a little more 3D, resizing things, just general details, making the pants look like pants. But yeah, so kind of a fun fact about the Paris and Hong Kong versions of Toy Story Land, they have some rides there that the Walt Disney World and Florida one does not have. And let me tell you, I wish we had some of those rides. Like, Paris and Hong Kong have the RC Racer ride, which, here, I'll pop up a picture of it here, but it looks ridiculously fun. And they also have a different ride called the Toy Soldiers Parachute Drop, I think is what it's called. And while I'm not a big fan of drop rides, this one looks really safe and not super intense. I've never watched a video, so I don't know if it hovers or if it actually drops. But I kind of would like to try that one too, based on the look of it. As for the food in Toy Story Land, I've never tried it. But I remember when the park opened, people were raving about, and I don't know if this is like a mandala effect type thing, but I feel like I remember it being called Andy's Lunchbox first. Is that right? And then did they change it to Woody's Lunchbox, or am I insane? But anyway, Woody's Lunchbox is what it's called now. But I think it's a quick service restaurant, and they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner options. And this is also where you can get an alien sipper cup, which I'm not a huge fan of the little green men, but I know a lot of people love the little dude. So if you're looking for one, that's the place to go. But the menu items really do look solid, and I've heard good things specifically about their tachos, which are basically tater tot nachos, and the brisket and their brisket melt. And they actually have a lot of alcoholic beverage options for adults, which is surprising. And when I looked at the menu, they have a really good number of them. So for those of you who have eaten in Toy Story Land, what do you recommend? What's your favorite menu item? Do you think Woody's Lunchbox is overrated? Do you think it's any good? Let me know. Okay, so now this background took me a very, very, very long time to figure out what to do. Initially, when I was first plotting out the sketch, I wanted everything outside of the circle to be cut off, which is why you can see I'm being really sloppy with the blocks on the left edge. because I was gonna have them cut out of the blue frame in the background, the blue oval. But as I was kind of going through and resizing this oval to try and make it work, I really didn't want to cut Jesse's pose out of it. So I ended up kind of being a little specific with what I ended up choosing to cut out of the picture. So right now, I'm just kind of adding in the strand, but you can see I'm trying to see how I can play with that shape in the background to fit Jesse's pose specifically in. Ham, I didn't mind so much if he got cut out of the picture, but Jessie specifically, I tried to figure out a way to keep her in the background as much as possible. And you'll see later, I do actually go back in and am very selective with the things that I end up choosing to erase outside the circle. So I do erase like Ham's body and some of the blocks, and I resize them in the background as well. And you can see I'm actually doing it right here. And I choose to erase the chords, Ham's body, but I keep Jessie's pose and her chord of Christmas lights in. Just because it felt right, and it looked better to have some of these things popping out of the circle. And then here I'm playing with clouds, because the iconic Toy Story clouds, I wanted to kind of hint at those in the background, and playing with the color of the background. I didn't want it to just be a single solid block. And I'm adding on top, this pink layer is actually a saturation layer, which makes the colors that much more vibrant. And I go in as well and add in a shadow layer, which you'll see in a second, of purple, which I'm doing right now. And that kind of gives it a little bit more dimension and drop to it. And just makes it all clean and look real nice. So now these Christmas lights, I want to say just on the Christmas lights, especially the big ones, I spent approximately 25 minutes doing them. Which people would be like, oh my God, why would you spend so much time on such a small detail? But you see so many of them so close that I wanted to make them as realistic looking as possible. I didn't just want them to be solid bulbs. On the inside they do have those little wick type lights. So I went in individually and added them in. As you can see now, I'm just kind of going through and texturing some of the blocks in the background so they look a little more wooden and less flat. Playing again with the clouds in the background, making sure I've got everything together. And I ended up adding this kind of rope, cowboy rope frame to it because I felt like it was just kind of, something was missing. It wasn't popping as much, and I really think that little background made it pop. I played with shadows on Woody and didn't like them as much, so I tried doing an outline to make him stand out a little more specifically, and I did the same for Jessie and Ham, and just playing with colors over here to try and really make everything pop as much as possible. We got a signature on it, and we're done. We're done here. I was really excited to finally do a Toy Story drawing. I've never done a Toy Story drawing, and I really, really liked the way that this came along for the 3rd anniversary of Toy Story Land. So there we go. As you can see, this drawing is a lot bigger than my typical icon style of drawing, where I do small circular graphics. This drawing actually took me probably about 4.5 hours, I think, to do in total. So it was a very, very long process, but I ended up loving the turnout. I wish I would have had more time to add some more characters. I would have liked to add Buzz or Rex in there too, but it just would have crowded the canvas and taken up a little bit more time than what I would have liked. Please let me know in the comments if you like this new format, if you like having different graphics and thing kind of interjected with the drawing. If you would prefer to focus only on the drawing portion, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also tell me, what is your favorite park? Tell me if you like Hollywood Studios. Do you like a subdivision of Hollywood Studios? Do you like Magic Kingdom? What specific part of Magic Kingdom do you like? I always love to hear your thoughts and comments. Do you even like Toy Story Land? Do you think it's overrated? Do you like the food in Toy Story Land? Do you like any of the rides? please go ahead and share your experience in the parks with me. I'd love to hear about it and talk about it with y'all. But with that being said, I hope you have a magical day. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing and dropping a like. It really does help me out. Also, click here if you want to watch me paint one of my favorite rides ever, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Thanks again, and have a magical week.